Austin with Happy Homecrafts here, and today I'm making blanket ladders. So I made this blanket ladder, and 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 I made this blanket ladder. So I made a lot of blanket ladders. So hang in there, and I'll show you how I made them.
The wood for this one is 2x2x8 and a 1x3x8 foot. And the 2x2x8 I use on all the ladders. The rungs are a little different on some of them, but I do the legs the same on all. There I'm cutting at a 9-degree angle, and then I'm going to measure out to 6 feet. We'll cut it at 6 feet, and then I'm going to do a round over on the top. For the round over, I just use my disc/belt sander, which works great. I really like this machine, and it's pretty easy to use. And once I'm done shaping it the way I like, I'm just going to hand sand, get rid of any burrs or anything that could possibly scratch a wall. And that looks really nice. Once I'm done there, I'm going to go ahead and sand down the whole leg. And in my case, I used a mouse sander. You could use whatever sander you want. And then I just make sure that any burrs or any splinters are removed. And then I'll go over with a little finer hand sanding. For the slats, I just use my miter saw at 0 degrees, and I set up this little jig for 17 inches. This is a larger one. And I did the same for the others. This is for the rungs that are 2x2s, and this is 12 inches. I do the same thing with the dowel rod, which is 13 inches, because you're going to sink it a 1/2 inch on each side. And here I just go over with the belt sander and just make sure any burrs or any splinters again are taken off, or any of the print from the manufacturer's removed. Make it a little bit easier. Putting the ladder together with the 1x3s, I just laid it down on the table and used some large clamps to hold the sides together. Then I could line them all up and squeeze it all into place. I used a little bit of glue on the sides, and then I just nailed them into place with some 2-inch brad nails. Now, since this is a 6-foot ladder, I made the rungs on every one of these a foot apart from each other. Then you can get 5 rungs on there. And now that it's put together and nailed together, I'm going to go ahead and do staining. And here I'm using some Varathane and my new overalls. And they're looking good. This way I can protect any pants. I don't have to destroy any pants. This is my painter's outfit. And, hey, looking good, right?
For this version, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to have 2x2s, and we're going to cut at a 9-degree angle on the bottom, round it at 6 feet at the top, and then for the rungs, I'm going to use another 2x2. So 12 inches on the 2x2s for the rungs. Let's see how this one looks.
So I'm just going to measure out every foot, and then I'm going to mark it off with a straight line so I know where to put the rung. Pretty simple. And then center it out. This is 1.5 inches, just 3/4 in the center. And then drill a straight hole, so that way I can put a 2-inch screw in there and hold those rungs in place. Alright, now I'm just going to put in 2-inch self-tapping drywall screws, and it's going to hold it nice and tight. I went over it with a impact driver just to make sure it's nice and tight, and that'll hold those rungs in place. You could put a little glue on those rungs just to make sure they stay, and it turned out nice.
Alright. I think that turned out really cool. Okay, for this version, I'm going to use these 2x2s. Again, I like these 2x2s. These two have a lot of character. I really like them, and I'm going to use this dowel. This is a 1" by 72 inch. That's annoying. Okay, for this version, I'm going to use. I keep hitting it. There we go.
I kept hitting the light above me. So I'm just going to use a 1" dowel rod on these. So I've got to measure out, again, 1 foot for each rung, and then I'm going to center it. Once I know center, I can put a Forstner bit on my mini drill press and use that to cut out the holes. Now I'm sinking these 1" holes 1/2 inch for each leg. That way there's going to be 1 inch on the dowel rod, so I cut the dowel rods at 13 inches, which will leave 12 inches in between the ladder legs. Now that the holes are countersunk at a 1/2 inch, I'm just going to drill right in the center of them a small hole so that I can put screws into the ladder rung. Put a little glue inside there and make sure those dowel rods don't move around. On my first side, I'm just going to pop them into place a little bit and then put the other leg on top and just use a mallet and pop it right into place. Now that one's in place, I can just sink some screws into each of the rungs. And this ladder, I think, turned out the nicest. I just like the round rungs on it. And there we go.
Alright, let me know in the comments below which ladder you like the most, and click that like and subscribe button, and have yourself a blessed day.